Hey, we're ready when you are.
So I made the changes that we talked about. However, I'm not at the max reserve because we were waiting to figure out I'm not on the reserve. The max, mills we can do. Because we were waiting to decide if you were doing the insurance or not.
They never, one people didn't get back to us.
So with that being said, we're just gonna move forward and I'll explain some of the
Just the
things to
number
you.
accounts for levy.
So I worked on your budget message. I worked on your budget message, which is, I guess I could have printed this document for you too. It's really boring to read, but it just puts all the numbers into a paragraph for you. The biggest thing is what I talked about, and I'll show you those sheets here in a minute. This tells you what our max mill will be, the value of our mill, and then the things that we changed the most on. I did put this clause in here that says, due to current legislative changes in the variable rate of the current market value going from 1.35 to 0.76, a decrease in property tax will occur. House bill.
I have a hard time seeing it.
There we go. House Bill 231 and Senate Bill 542 are concerned as this leaves us uncertain to the future of Prairie County's tax base and revenue received. If you don't like that, you can change it to whatever you like, but it is a concern. I should holler at Garrett too, because he said he would come in here and he said,
You want me to get him?
yeah, we should go grab it. The highest increase we've seen was in the sheriff's office, but of course, we wanted to note that we did consolidate the coroner's office into there. So that would be a significant change there. Last year, there was about a $20,000 budget in the coroner's office, so that's almost the exact difference you're seeing between the sheriff's last year and this year. Plus, they added another deputy. It's just a slight increase in the general fund. And, the permissive levies, of course, they went up, both of them went up. I explained that ARPA funding was completely dispersed in 2025. And that the remaining 2992 operating funds would be transferred into the general to be used for county operating, specifically reimbursing salaries. The LATCF funds received in the county. I explained about the interest and that we were gonna put that interest to, reinvesting into capital improvement in the county. The current debt, increased to 309,620.56. This includes the new voter purchase, in which the first payment comes due in June of 26. There's only one payment left on the John Deere Caterpillar, with the final payment being December 1st, 2025. The first payment on the new sheriff's pickup was made in July, which leaves an estimated payoff of about 38,000. And then other assets acquired was the pickup for the cemetery, the four-wheeler, there was a four-wheel exchange, 21 for the weed department. And then the power cots were purchased for the ambulance. And then I did in detail, there's your capital improvement project plan with a total of 170,969 to be invested into capital improvement.
That lists
All of these.
building improvements.
Mhm.
Yes,
Building improvements has 67,522.27. 10,000 of that is reserved for the new server, and the other 10,000 is reserved to purchase an air conditioner of that 67,000.
Yeah.
Mosquito District has 9,799.15. Public safety would have 36,713.87. The ambulance would have 19,176.55. Junk vehicles would have 5,170.56. And then the cemetery would have $18,517. Oh, and the senior center would have 4,000.
They have a idea for that, okay.
The senior center used to, do the refrigerator.
Okay.
So,
That's not including your endowments.
no,
No,
but we agreed, that the 6-year-old refrigerator. And so she was doing 2,000 a year. This is the second year, one more year, and then she should be able to purchase a new refrigerator. Is what
if she needs it, or go ahead and outright purchase it,
I would say, purchase it. If you're without that big refrigerator, you're gonna be in trouble.
yeah.
Use the other one as backup or something, I don't know. That's about the lifespan on those.
Is it really?
Well, if one of those big ones go out, she's gonna lose everything,
That's true.
so. That's the budget message. I did print each one of these out. You do not get to keep it.
Do I get to touch it?
This is my copy for the,
Do I get to touch it?
and this has the actual resolutions in it, so you do not, you can touch it, that's it. Yeah.
Make sure you move the pages around, Kristen.
Yeah, and you do not,
Really have.
I've been getting angry today.
I'll give it
So-
to Todd, let him get hollered at.
Oh, I forgot the resolutions in the other room. I did make copies of the resolutions. So, Todd, this is what I was explaining. This is why I wanted, Garrett in here. So this would be your, road. Is here on the bottom. So this would be last year's, which was 50.19. This year would be 52.16,
5409 is not that 50.
50.19.
Nine.
Right here is last year's. And that factor was 1.35, see right here?
Oh,
for
okay.
value. And then this year, it goes up to 52.16. But because of that 0.76 right here, that now makes it to where, yes, we increased, but the property taxes themselves decreased. And what a taxpayer pays. Okay, Garrett.
So this is kind of what we've been talking about the last couple of times that I've come in, and then the webinars that, well, we all attended the first one and then I attended the second one. Where because taxable values on houses across the board have gone down so dramatically, even though the market value went up quite a bit. At the end of the day, this really goes to show that even though as a county, we are requesting more mills to pay for it, we're actually getting less money per bill or per mill, which then decreases property taxes for the county. So a really good way to look at it is I got the certified values today. And so for the county, we went from a market value of 213 million for 2024 to 240 million for 25, but the actual taxable value only went up by $28,000. So we went from 27 million increase in market value, but only 28,000 in taxable value.
Because of your market calculation.
Well, because of the 0.76% that the state created with this new legislation.
That's on residential.
That's on residential, yeah.
What
But
Those second homes,
second, well, but you gotta remember that for this first year for 25, a lot of that doesn't account for anything. It was a straight 0.76
On everything?
on everything. And then next year is when everything goes into play for second homes, for long-term rentals. A lot of that stuff.
So they're
doesn't go-
staggering the implementation of it?
Because what they wanted to do was so complex that Montana DOR said, there's no way that we can implement this in time. So we need to take just that little chunk, which is that 0.76 for most residences. And then we'll go from there the next year.
So if it went from 1.35, let's just look at straight residential,
Mhm.
primary homes. If it went from 50% to 25%, to double your millage.
You would have to, yeah,
No,
Well,
you-
To get the
but
same
you
amount
can't
of
get
money?
the same amount of money.
but we can't, yeah.
We can't.
Yeah, we
We don't
can.
have the ability to mill that much higher.
We can't mill.
Which is why at the end of the
Why?
day, we are showing that we're having to decrease.
We're at our
the
max,
property
yeah.
taxes.
We can only do.
Yeah, but it's calculated back to millage, it's calculated back to millage, dollars is calculated for your cap, and then you work it back to millage.
And I think maybe that's the part that Jason Riddle kept talking about that I didn't understand. And so there might be more.
You
to
convert it
than I
back,
like,
you
yeah.
you convert it from dollars to mills
I don't
after you
know
do
how
the
they do it, but
calculation.
That's what he did, what he's been doing.
So then do we have it incorrectly? That's what I don't know. Because I've been asking, I was on the phone with, I can show you the calculation sheets. That's what I said, the taxable value tax calculation sheets that are coming. My understanding is that I did them correctly, and that's the max mill of 198.23, because it does go up. And it goes up by 20 mils.
Should be more than that.
Well, I'll show you the sheets. I don't know what you're supposed to put in those sheets, and if you're supposed to do something different, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Cause there is no. That's the max mill
Same
that we
budget
can go.
sheet that we've been working with all along?
I got them I got the current one.
Has it changed from what we've done last year and the year?
They
before?
change every year because it gives you different percentages in them. It's coming up here. But like I wanted to show you this one, and then here's cause see, here's where we went from 186.79 last year to 198.23, because those sheets counteract for that.
So unless we're missing a component when it comes to like the milling dollars, then
That's our max on that, so I'll go over there, Todd, so that maybe. So here's your Department of Revenue assessments. Which I gave you guys all a copy of those,
Yeah,
but here is here's the mill sheet. So here's where you do, and that's where your max is. You can't go above 198.23.
we'll be laying off people.
that or we cut into our reserves.
I
Haven't
think
you cut into your reserves, you're killed the next year.
Well, you do, and that's,
that's the concern.
but that was my big concern when they came out with this legislation before it was even passed, that so much of this gets shifted onto the governor, local government, that, you know, some of these counties, sure, they can handle it. These small counties, especially in eastern Montana, you can't.
Egg,
Well, and it goes down too.
it does?
It
I thought it
does.
went up because of
That's,
residential.
so the original sheets that we got, and even I think that original webinar, it made it sound like
Yeah.
Eggland was gonna be the one that compensated. It went up.
Egg is,
This last webinar that came out on the 15th, egg went down, commercial went down, resident went way down. And you have to go at such a high threshold monetarily for value of that egg land, commercial land, to get to what the previous tax rates were, you're talking hundreds of $1 millions before you ever break that threshold, is what they were showing. So it almost looks like everything goes down this year. And then next year, that's when you start getting the multiple homes in there that helps to
Prop it up a
balance that
little
out a little bit. But I mean, they took away a lot this year.
And ag is supposed to go way up next year too, right?
That's not what they were saying this last time. That was my understanding
bit. Next year,
before, but it doesn't sound like that.
Hmm.
Cause it's still the same thing where they showed a graph that taxable value never goes above where the threshold is now. So
and what's the next year do?
it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's,
Cause that was the year I thought was gonna explode.
well, and so for 26, the big thing with that is when they start introducing all the additional tier levels. So for value of homes, but they widen out each tier. So it is, the first tier is up to like the median price of the home for Montana. And then it goes from there up to, I think, $1.5 million is the second tier. And then anything over that is the third tier. So we don't exactly have a lot of properties like that in Prairie County. So we're never gonna see that higher threshold unless we get people that have multiple homes that aren't signed up on a long-term contract. Like a long-term rental agreement.
Hmm.
So if it's 7 months or shorter, that's when we see a big increase in taxes. They do it for 7 months and 1 day, then that tax rate goes down.
I can't see them doing rentals for 7 months.
The new taxable value multiplier goes into effect of 7.76 this year.
0.77, that's my understanding, yep. That goes in for 26. That was their initial big push to help out the taxpayer. Was everything was gonna hit at that, and then next year is when they start building in all these different levels. At that.
I wouldn't have caught this if I wouldn't have went back out on Mako's website, cause I was double and triple checking my work. And then I noticed the worksheet had changed. Because I used my worksheets from last year when I presented to you last week. And so I called Nancy. And she told me I was the first person to call her on it. Which kind of shocked her.
Nobody else has picked up on it?
Apparently not.
That, or maybe it doesn't have the same effect in their account.
Maybe it's not hitting them like us, but I told her it doesn't make sense to me. She explained it exactly like I believe I'm explaining now. And then she called Jason and was hoping Jason could maybe put it in better terms to where we were gonna get it. And that's when I told Garrett, I still don't get it. So me and Garrett talked it through. And that's mine and Garrett's theory is that it's gonna take, that we're saying that it's gonna hit the reserve is what's gonna happen. But it should replenish, right? It should replenish. It's
But
just
you're
gonna,
still using money that you don't have.
Yeah.
well, you have it. It's just that you're going to,
But your cash available the next year is gonna be
no,
dramatically
your
down.
cash available will replenish, but it won't replenish as fast as it does. Because you should be replacing the dollar amount.
Because it's, the budget is still balanced.
Yeah.
So everything is still covered, even with that decrease in property taxes, without necessarily touching any of the reserves at this point. Going forward, it's gonna be a lot harder to do that.
Next year, you mean?
Yeah.
Next year, the year after that, who knows what will end up
There's gonna
happening.
be some screaming and hollering between now and then.
And there should be, because this
But
legislation that
It
they
is.
put through in my personal opinion, is kind of like a smoke and mirror. Because they get to say that how they gave such a big tax relief to everybody, when in fact, it's not. Because the county still have to do their stuff. So while they get to say, okay, we cut it almost in half. You can see it's,
Local government's gonna make you pay more.
yeah. You know, okay, after this, it's
But the weird
$28
part is
left
that,
or less on $100,000 house, but
the weird part is that you technically aren't paying more though. That's what's very confusing.
Yeah.
Even though you increase the mill, because normally when you do that, you increase it, but
Your
you're
mill
paying.
goes up, your dollar taxes go down.
Your taxable value is going down.
Yeah,
yeah. But when you're talking about a 1.35% down to a 0.76%, I mean, there's a lot of difference in there, even on a $100,000 house, so. What we need to operate the county still ends up being slightly less than the difference in the taxes, which is why the mill value, like the total taxes is decreased for each $100,000 house, even though we increase those mills up. So we
Right.
increase the mills, but at the end of the day, we still will bring in that slightly smaller amount. So it is a slight tax break for the county, but it's nothing, or for the taxpayer, but it's nothing like what is being advertised.
Do you have something on the ag property to show us?
no, that's not in budget.
No, and the only place that we'd have to go probably onto the webinar that they did on the 15th to get that picture of what they were talking about. And even then, I mean, they were throwing out numbers all over the place in code and legislation, so it's hard to track, but if you look at just the graph itself, it's all decreased.
Same money's being brought in, they've just reshuffled the deck.
Yep.
We're gonna get blamed for it.
But that's right.
So we got two,
This is the max that it can be, is the 198.23. You can't increase that any, that's all we can do. Right,
That's the total non-voted voted mills.
198 come from your last. You got your,
I put the numbers in from the prior year.
Okay.
Cells on the sheets and I have them rechecked. And everything, cause you can only plug in here, like on the one sides of the sheet.
what's missing here is the taxable value should have dramatically dropped. You're not showing taxable value dropping.
But we did have new construction in the county. We had,
$232,871 in the increased taxable value.
like I said, we had a net increase of $28,000 in taxable value from the previous year.
Theoretically, I was under the understanding that the new values would simply allow you to increase the millage to bring in the same amount of money, but because the second homes and short-term rentals and other non-residential property, it's gonna make up the difference from residential. And you bring in the same amount of money plus CPI. Or half of CPI.
And maybe that's where it's at, and maybe that's the side we're not seeing,
And that could be,
where that's not figured into the budgetary document itself. Like what you're saying,
Yeah,
which is why it's not making sense to us.
You're missing some numbers you didn't.
No, I'm not missing numbers. It's just something that doesn't appear in my budget.
To CPI still.
Consumer price index,
Okay, gotcha,
or another is COLA, cost of living adjustment.
gotcha. Yeah,
So this is strictly budget. So it's the budget dollars the budget we need to function.
Yeah.
So all those other factors like you were talking about agriculture and that is not factored into this. This is what it takes for us to do the general. So if it is where like these other things are supposed to be in to counteract that, you're not gonna see that in the budget, which is why that part of it may not make sense to us.
Yeah, because this is just straight taxable value. It doesn't break it down into any other tier group, any other.
See, we don't, for 2006, we don't know what our taxable value is going to be because there'll be a difference in taxable value coming into the fiscal year 26, 27. Is that what we're talking?
Yep.
Yeah.
So 26, 27, they're gonna give you a taxable value. It's gonna be dramatically lower.
That's my understanding on it. But
So if you
again,
use
so much has
today-
been thrown out that I.
if you use today's taxable value, you're almost double our taxable value. Our taxable value is gonna dramatically drop.
Potential.
Well, we're missing a complete page with the figures that you're talking about.
But those aren't what you're talking about, what you're asking, Christine, that doesn't have to do with my budget document. It's not anything that I have to consider or we have to consider in the budget document. But my thought or my theory is that's where it's gonna make sense at is because those dollar figures are considered into, that's what's gonna replenish it. I don't know, that's the only thing that I could see.
They're dropping taxable.
But the
Gotcha.
concern is that if we have enough of those extra for Prairie County, like I said, that's why it's a concern. Because do we have a lot of second home owners? Do we have a lot of, that don't have this 7-month agreement? Because if we don't, then we don't reap those benefits that you're talking about.
But the other thing you gotta keep in mind too is the market values keep going up, wildly going up. So all it takes is a few houses or ranches or farms to be sold at what current market is, and now all of a sudden that taxable value goes up too. So, and I think that's part of what, maybe is showing up here, like with the Keltner Ranch selling or new houses being built or even houses in town being sold for $40,000 more than what I bought my house for 5 years ago. So the market value keeps increasing. So when you take that percentage for the taxable value, that naturally is going to increase too. So even though they drop the taxes a lot, there's still the taxable value that keeps increasing each year. If that,
Taxable value on ag land is on production basis.
correct.
But your ag land is not, just weird to say, but it's not anything considered in budget document.
Yeah, it's not split out. It's just,
It's not,
No, it's allowed, it's part of the taxable value.
yeah, it's just lumped in.
We still gotta pay the damn taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Dennis?
yeah.
We got to pay the taxes.
So that's the huge difference between when I presented last week and this week. Cause there's your road. These are the same, I didn't do any changing because these are numbers from last year and this year that you get from the Department of Revenue.
Hmm.
So everything is calculated out, there's mosquito. And then Fallon Fire is the only other one that has different, and then soil conservation. Cause their mill value is different than ours.
Are they a voted mill?
Of 1.5 mil voted.
Hmm.
They have 1.5 and then you do this sheet, right? You add 1.5
When
to,
you're done with this sheet, you
Yeah.
add 1.5.
that's what I did. And then, I can go, I thought I printed you guys the resolution. Actually, I can show you. So the permissive medical levy, the normal, so as you can see, there's a decrease in the permissive medical levy. It's like 1941 less on a 100,000, 5824 less on 300,000, and 8058 on 600,000. And we went from 4 point, our 40, we're at 54.39. Which is equivalent to $282,484.52. And then there's
That's the insurance?
yeah, this is the calculation sheet for the insurance. So for 2026, we'd have 25 employees. 1094 is what we can use for the base. So we need $328,200 to pay for our 25 employees. Our base year was $38,401. So that means you can levy the 282, but the county has to cover the 38,401.
The base.
Yeah, the base. Cause you only get a levy the difference. And then there's that calculation sheet. For that, we went from 45 mils to 54.39. And then 2, 3, the SRS. This one you do see an increase, but it's because the mills themselves doubled. Which is why it confused me, because it went from 0.69 to 1.4. So we think that's why you see a slight increase.
Dollar bill,
Yeah, because it doubled is the only thing I can think of.
or is that a 9 or a 0?
Where?
For the first, yeah,
This?
yeah,
It's 13 cents on 100,000.
okay, I thought it was a 9.
40 cents on 300,000 and $1.73 on 600,000. So, and the sheriff's is based on, it's the increase in the, what the rate was in 2017 to the current. And so it's only the difference between, that for their employer contributions of, SRS.
We're already putting into the sheriff's retirement system, other revenue.
Yeah.
This is just additional that was voted in.
Yeah, this
That's a
is just
permissive
the
levy.
increased amount that you have to pay in. This is just the final budget one that we
Adopted.
do. Yeah, Dan's looked over all these, agrees with what. You got the county-wide. I showed you that calculation sheet, which they get added to the bottom here. To show you that increase. There's that one in the roads. So we put them together. And then, and we don't have to do a first read on those, we can just pass those, next, and then this is our resolution adopted. I did print this one for sure for you guys. So I tried to make this a little bit easier to see and to understand. It's just a lot of information.
Well, when you have to put the different house amounts down on all of it, that kind of muddies the water a little.
So, I put over here all the mills that you have to take into consideration. And then I did put the dollar amounts because we're required to now put the dollar amounts for voted mills. I still have not heard, this is the thing that me and Garrett said we haven't heard on our county transportation, our county retirement. It lost my little asterisk,
I
Garrett.
see that.
So this is not going to be approved by the town, so until the 4th. So I had a little asterisk, but apparently I lost it. And it literally said, upon approval on the 4th, we're positive it's gonna pass. But we were unsure about putting that on your resolution. I could remove this whole bottom part and then we don't have to worry about it. But it's not passing with the town until the 4th. They have their hearing on the 4th, which is after we need to approve it.
Cause we meet the 3rd, right?
Yes. So I'm hoping that we have this. Other than that, everything else is updated and on here. I do have to change this because we're not at our maximum meal. I just put in there what I had in the worksheet. Because we have a little bit of money.
A little bit of money to put back into reserves and stuff.
Yeah, we can go reserves. I just wanted to make sure you didn't want to expend it someplace.
I think we're probably gonna rat hole all we can.
Well, we got legal coming up, and have to hire somebody for a zoning attorney.
So, but yeah, I think that's. What is that? 1.5 mils or something that we have for around 7,000, maybe, to play with. On the mills, but the road is spot on. I think that that's. Schools is the schools. So, and then trying to think of what else is big. I just showed you all the resolutions. I did make all those changes that you guys told me to do. With the operating funds.
Okay.
So
And then-
I did print you guys your sheets. I'm just gonna go to the final pages so that you guys can,
Is that what these are?
yeah. I think I printed another. That's what we used to have. So 53. So this is where the general. We appropriated $833,415 to the general fund. And I do have it, I believe, at 33%. So we can't do any more reserve on the general. So, the bridge, we did 81,250. I did only do it at 10%, so we could, if we wanted to, tweak that reserve. The weed, is at 25%, but the weed has a lot of grant funding. Fair, we do it at 15%. With a total of 108,215. Their appropriations went up considerably, but it's because of the, projects we have going on.
We,
No fair.
there.
Yeah, normally their budget is not, their appropriations are not that high. But it's because we included the
The
sewer.
money for the
Yeah.
water.
And then district courts, I believe like district courts, there's some of them that actually went down. And, we could do uh. Which one was it? Oh, I put fire in there because we weren't gonna mill for fire, and then I did mill for fire.
Oh, yeah.
So, but those are the big, there's appropriations of 529,360 for road. But all of road is coming out of road. Not coming out of any other fund, besides bridge. For the
Some
salaries.
salaries.
Yeah. So this is where I can tweak here, and if you just want me to play with the reserves to come up with the,
I'd play with reserve, but look at bridge first, and you're not, how much money you talking?
I think it's about 7,000.
7,500.
Cause it's one in, some change mills. So I think you could play with,
You play with a cemetery at.
it's not gonna let me.
2240 in the middle.
Oh, you want cemetery?
I think.
Just looking,
Cemetery is at 29%.
you maybe increase it.
The cemetery is not full time. I mean, I can increase it. But I was wondering if you wanted me to look more at the property and casualty. Or
We could
the,
put it in property and casualty.
and then the
Would that
bridge a
cover- would
little
that
bit,
cover-
because if we are gonna eat at our reserve,
That gonna cover property and casualty, is that gonna cover
It's gonna take all of that for,
our zoning regulations?
I don't think so.
We're gonna be hiring an attorney on zoning prior to fiscal year starting.
but if you hire for zoning, are you talking about you're adding insurance, or are you hiring a zoning? Attorney?
Legal,
So that doesn't come out of property casualty though, right?
no,
That would come out of, you're probably gonna take it out of your general.
Think so. Probably out of commissioner contract services or something like that.
That's what I would say.
But probably ought to go in that.
Want me to look and see what we budgeted in contract services?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be in the 1,000?
And but this doesn't break it necessarily.
No, it doesn't, but then,
It does put them into categories like operating and maintenance, but. Open it, but
Sarasota, it's Sarasota. That's it, first there.
I don't believe you have enough.
what's his name?
Sarasota.
You only paid, all that purchase services.
Oh,
I think you have.
it's actually, supposed to know where the hell she's supposed to be.
Instead of, maybe it's building.
Is $7,000 in contract services and billings.
I think we ought to put it in there, Todd. But it, contract services, but it's in, not in under commissioner, it's under buildings.
Well, it's contracted services. I don't know. Tell us who put it.
So I'm not being smart when I ask you this question, but if it's land related, why is it not out of land?
Planning board.
Yeah,
Maybe we should take it out of their budget for the legal.
I mean, I'm not being a smart aleck, but I'm
wanna-
asking you.
I know you're not being a smart ass. Smart aleck.
It has to
Whatever.
do with forming a district and it has to do with, our
Protect-
zoning or whatever, which is your land planning, is it not?
Land planning and zoning commission are two separate things.
If we put it under the buildings, we could designate a separate line, couldn't we, for the contract services?
Yeah, like me create a line to that. Yes, but you and all your lines
Just keeping you happy.
does not make me happy because you guys put them out of the wrong line and then I have to do adjustments because you have too many lines to pick for us, so. Thank you. Just saying.
We're gonna get a lot of
What
flack
is-
from the land planning board.
Legal services
Well-
go towards the county
That's
attorney.
Dan.
Okay.
Yeah,
We could add to his budget the amount of money that you have that could be used for legal services, subcontracted out.
that would make another line. And I am being the smart aleck. Well, legal services, yeah, that's what it would be for.
Yeah, but legal services is your county attorney, that's his fund. That's his budget, that's not yours.
That's his classification and numbers and everything.
That's like your. Once budget goes through, that's his budget, not yours.
You're gonna have to have its own line to follow it through.
I think you're right, Dennis.
I think we'd have to, if you're gonna create a new line, I think we need to look in the bars and make sure that.
Yeah.
We create the correct line for it. I don't think it goes under dams, cause
Yeah.
that is the coding for dams. But I believe there is one for legal services as in outside legal services.
Cause there's something to signify the commissioner's legal services.
Well, I think if you just have legal services and make sure we're on the bar, because I haven't read that in a long time, but if they have your,
I think we just have to look in the bars. So are you saying we're gonna add money to that? Is that what you wanna do
We're
instead
gonna have
of,
to, there's no reason.
instead of
Why not?
increasing the reserve, do you
Yeah.
wanna use that 7,000? And figure out what it is and then budget that into legal services for building to take our max meal up to 198.23.
Yeah. That's what we're gonna have to do.
I'm assuming I can just look through the bars and then it'll tell me which one. I think it's gonna go in 1,000, it'll go in your general. There's gotta be a fund.
It's gonna be.
Exactly that, where like you'd have to think
Specifically for legal.
outside counsel.
Yes,
So, okay. So if that's what we're doing, then I can have that and I think that's it, unless you guys have any questions on any of it. Clear as mud, isn't it?
Yeah,
everybody better pucker.
but I think the problem is your taxable value on the next fiscal year is what we're talking. You don't have those taxable values, and they're gonna dramatically drop.
Correct.
If they dramatically drop, our millage has gotta go up.
I think it's gonna, I don't know though. I think,
But
yeah,
what you're using is current tax value, most
the only
current
number
taxable
she's got.
value.
those
you
are
have.
the guys,
So they got-
you can go off.
And if you take the taxable value, you go from 1.35 to 0.76 on a residential. That taxable value is gonna plummet.
Yeah, like Nancy
And then
said,
you have
it
to make it up
doesn't,
with millage.
in the
Well,
math
it's
world,
almost half
in the
of
math world, it's
Yeah.
not gonna make sense in the world, cause Nancy repeated to me, she said, it doesn't make sense. And like your brain can't make sense of it, like you increased your mill. You're increasing your mill, but
Well, you're bringing in the same amount of money plus up to 4% CPI.
That's why we're thinking that,
But where's that 4 point whatever CPI in the figures?
I think it comes out in the Department of.
Well,
Revenue
we don't
figures.
know because it's 4%, max
Of what?
4, max of 4% or whatever COLA is actually is. So if COLA's at 2%, we get full COLA instead of 1%, but 2%. 2% COLA right now, we get 1%. We get half. Average 3 years. They're gonna give us full COLA. Okay, up to 4%.
So we
So
can
if it's 4
imagine,
point, so if it's at 5%, you get 4. If it's 3%, you get 3. If it's 4%, you get 4.
Cause
But if it's
and
above,
that's not in the figures.
I
that's
believe
not in the figures yet because we don't
we don't have it.
have it for next year. She's talking about it when we do budgets next year.
We're always a year behind. but
I
we're-
believe
No.
we're going to sit okay this year, other than the only thing we may see is it's gonna. I don't know if you say this, our cash available is gonna decrease. Until the taxes come in and then you're gonna see it hit. I think we're gonna absorb more of our reserve, which is also our cash
Yeah,
available.
but come next
Until the taxes come in. And then you're gonna
budget season, we're
replenish.
gonna see that cash.
No, you're gonna see it early on, you're gonna see it early
Yeah,
on.
but when we do budget next year, it's gonna affect our,
You should be getting it back, but it's gonna be. Way like it is now, like remember I was panicking over the
Yep.
general, but it's because the taxes haven't come in yet.
Yep.
I mean, unless you have a bunch of people that don't pay their taxes,
and we're gonna have some more of that.
so, that's the only thing that I can see, but I can't make sense of it, that's why I said I was gonna show you guys the sheet, and if you could make sense of it, you could make sense of it, but I can't. And I spent a lot of time on the phone with Nancy. So, she just said, it's not. That's why she said she was surprised I was the only one that called her. She was thinking she was gonna get hit with a bunch more phone calls. And I think this year, the reason why we're not seeing the hit as bad is because we moved the 62,000,
Out of, operating. fund.
yes, out of operating funds.
We bumped the
And then
interest.
we did the interest over. So I think you have to really consider that interest next year. Into moving it over into the general fund, maybe not designating it for anything.
It's not gonna be quite as much as this year, I don't think.
Harold, sit down and talk to him.
Well, Jason's pretty good at it.
Yes.
So is Eric. And Nancy, they got Nancy on mine, which. Cause I think Nancy had just gotten there when Harold was going out.
Nancy was trying to explain it, but like she said, she was explaining it, but she thought Eric, maybe Jason would have better terms to where we would understand it, but they just said that there's no way to give us terms to understand it because it's,
That's asinine. What in the world? Did they get the
Did you
idea?
read this? Did
Yeah,
you read that?
yeah, no thanks.
They make us do this and then they charge us $1,100.
well, that's the AFR.
That's the financial report.
That's the financial.
Budget.
But still, it's, yes, it's all.
We have to have that submitted though, or we get fined. This has to be submitted all
Yeah.
the time. Well, they could even supply this, Mako supplies this now.
For the calculations.
And the calculation, the back sheet, they changed them. I'm not changing them, so we'll see if I get in trouble for that. I'm not, mine are all formulated to go back to those other sheets. They changed the look of them. I'm not changing it.
Good for you.
The
No.
sheets from what, 2 years ago?
Oh, from, how long has it been, Todd? Me and Todd formulated them and I am not gonna, then they're
There's
like.
not a way to
So,
put into it.
so that when you entered in one spot, it entered it
It
in.
automatically went wherever else.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go back and redo that, and then now you have to take these pages right there, 53, 50, is it 53, 54, and 55?
Yep,
You have to submit those all, you have to submit them in here, and then you have to submit them separate, that's another thing that we have to do. Those 3 sheets. I'm just gonna submit those ones, cause those are the ones I'm used to. And, I don't want all those other ones that they added.
see how far I go.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
We have to pass,
No, this was your preliminary hearing. Next
next week.
week you have to pass.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause, say good job. I know you did a lot of work. I know you think I'm being sarcastic, but I'm really not. Might sound like it.
But you are.
Well, this year was just,
I make a motion to adjourn.
not,
Second.
Second.
All for
Aye.
that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Oh, my. Thank you.